Sometimes Zid is your hot dad.
We're entering our flop era.
Shit's bleak out here. All right.
18 plus. Who wants to get milked?
It's kind of quality we have here at Debate This.
I need the edge. I need what the raw, unfiltered internet can bring you.
This is probably only going to be the third or fourth dumbest thing I've said today.
That's for nobody.
Just out there raw dogging the internet.
Way more hog than I expected.
It's about as much hog as I anticipated.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Here comes the cow. Here comes the cow.
All right, let's get this over with so we can play Magic. Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take this is a show. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and gee gosh, sometimes dreams really do come true.
Whose
Wow.
dreams?
Yeah,
Only mine.
exactly yours.
I did not write anything after that, so
This is all just
let's
off
just
the
do this
dome.
raw. Let's just do this raw. So today we're gonna have a very special episode, a very, very special episode. We're gonna do a flavor text about none other than the Final Fantasy series. Now, guys, you've heard of Final Fantasy, yeah?
I'm going to need a tight 5.
Yeah, it's a
I
game
know.
series.
I know one of them is critically acclaimed, and I can
One
play
of them
for
is
free to
critically
level
acclaimed.
60.
Yep, you got it. Nailed it.
There was a movie with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, and Alec Baldwin and Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
I'm
Really?
Yeah, it's Ving Rhames.
I'm
King
pretty
James?
excited to hear which one was the final one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what's even better? No one has ever made that joke before. So-
it's the only time it's going to happen this whole
It's the one time
episode.
it's going to happen this time. So normally our flavor texts are commissioned, and you can do so by visiting patreon.com/debatethiscast to check out our $60 tier, our one-time $60 tier. You yourself can commission your very own flavor text. However, this month we're doing something a little bit different because as of the recording yesterday, Wizards of the Coast did their official preview of the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set. Now, this is something I've obviously been talking about for quite some time, but we've all been talking about as we are about 1.5 years into being severely magic pilled on this podcast. And it's going to hit all of us in a way. Some of us more than others, Kyle, but it's going to hit all of us in a certain kind of way.
It's a bold moment to be pointing that finger at Kyle right now.
Well,
Yeah,
Todd,
sure.
when you point a finger at someone, you've got 4 pointing right back at you. So,
got his ass.
got his ass.
God is ass.
Andrew, quick question. Do you remember where you were when they announced Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering? Like, was it that big of a moment for you?
I don't think so. I don't think I remember where I was when they announced it because I think it was on Twitter and I was
like in
probably
our
sad.
Discord chat or something.
Yeah. Like it was
sure,
just
sure.
I was scrolling on my phone. But what I wanted to do today, and listeners, this is gonna be thick. This is gonna be a chunky one. You may be looking at your podcast feed and this episode may in fact say part 1.
Right. I was
There's a
going to
reason
say,
for that.
as of now, we aren't sure if this is a 1 or 2-parter yet.
Yeah.
We may still be recording this episode when you hear it.
It's
We might
true.
be still recording this episode when we die. So I thought this would be a cool opportunity to go through all of the mainline games, but specifically tied to what we know so far about this set. Because from everything that we've learned about this set, it is very much, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be a cash grab. It's Universes Beyond. I get it. But despite all of that, it's very much made with love. And there's a lot of deep cuts. There's a lot of really cool nods. There's a lot of cool flavor built into Magic mechanics. And so I thought this would be a fun time to just go through one by one. I have done my best to make each game succinct and still coherent. I got Final Fantasy VII down to 3 pages, and that, my friends, should deserve some sort of an award. I don't know what it is, but like I'm pretty proud of the brevity with which I have shown.
Well, Andrew, I'll do you one better because I think I can condense the whole series into a sentence. It's kill God with the power of friendship.
Friendship.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Boom.
Well,
Thanks for joining us today on Debate This Cast. You can follow along.
Today we're going to talk about exactly what the power of friendship means and what it means to kill God. And to join me today, we've got Todd, Thomas, Matt, you're the best looking guy here, Cole, and Kyle. Have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with the expanded free trial, which you could play through the entirety of Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60 with free restrictions on playtime? Harper.
Wow, I made that joke already.
Rolls right off.
You did.
I also feel like we should let people know that all that brevity you just talked about, that brevity is 33 pages of notes.
Well,
Shut up, Matt. Let's talk about what we know about Final Fantasy and stop looking at the notes.
God.
All right, go.
We're on what, 16? So that means we're talking about what, 25 plus games today?
Okay, 5 of those pages is just about Cup of Noodles and how they put a car into the world of Final Fantasy, and it was cool. I'll go first. You got a joke?
The last 8 pages are just Tifa fan art. So I think we'll move through those pretty quick too.
Cursed pages. Oh no, those are the slow pages, Kyle. Yeah, I'll go. So I think I have the same knowledge that most people probably have about 7, in that like everyone had a friend who really got into 7. And so I know a bit about that and the characters. I think I've used, what's its name, Red 13 as an answer a couple times in this podcast. So yeah, not only is he my favorite Final Fantasy character, he's my favorite food dye. I played
Nice.
Final Fantasy X, or as the real fans call it, Final Fantasy X, a lot one holiday when I was at my aunt and uncle's and I wanted to avoid my family. So I played, 12 straight hours of that game. So I got through a 10th of it. And I played a lot of Tactics Advance. So I'm looking forward to the deep lore that goes to Tactic Advance. Hopefully at least, I don't know, a few of those pages are Tactics Advance.
It's on page 34.
Okay, I was going to say, I hope in these 33 pages, we don't talk a minute about
Not a
Tactics
pinch.
Advance.
I don't have it. I don't even have it written in here.
No, you shouldn't. The Dragoon was the cool class, and that was it.
I'll go next. I know of Final Fantasy. I know one is critically acclaimed, and I can play for free till level 60. I have actually played some of 3 or whatever 3 is actually on the DS, because I remember that's
3.
Oh, it's still 3. Okay, I played
The hardest one.
Good.
Gross.
I can't remember if I played to that, if it was like the halfway point, and I was like, oh, if that's halfway, I'm done, or if it was like I played through till the story actually starts, and that was, and it was like, oh, if it took me that long till it starts,
both of those things can be correct.
yeah, then that's when I pieced out. It was a good time until then, but it was just like I was 13 or 14 and had undiagnosed ADHD, and them's was a lot of words. So
Them's were a lot of words. Maybe that's why I didn't like it all that much, because it was a lot of words.
A lot of words.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I know of Final Fantasy because I've been on the internet and around video games my whole life. I have never played a single Final Fantasy. Everything I know about Final Fantasy I learned against my will and for this podcast.
Fair.
The one thing I will
feel
say
about the Green Lanterns. So there you go.
Well, okay, we're all victims there.
I couldn't even name 3 of those.
You could. Andrew can't, but you could.
Hal Jordan. Hank Jordan.
Anyway, so I will say that growing up, my neighbor had a game that I've referenced on this show before for his PlayStation called Urgeist, which was half made by Square. And the PlayStation version had a bunch of FF7 characters in it. Yep. And we used to play Urgeist a lot. And then one time he was like, hey, instead of playing Urgeist, do you want to see the game that all these characters come from? And I was like, yeah. And then I sat and watched him play Final Fantasy VII for an hour and said, I never need to do this again. That's pretty much my experience.
The first hour of Final Fantasy VII is the worst hour.
How much of this is dedicated to the best Final Fantasy villain, Culex? A lot of it? Most of it?
Yeah, he's the same page as Tactics Advance.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Andrew,
right.
I'll give you a victory point here early, so to carry us through as many of these 33 pages as we can.
Sure.
I started it and dropped it once. I'm gonna start Final Fantasy VI like right when we finish recording again today. I would have done it. I would have done it earlier today if I didn't have a job that expected me to do things. So there's some gas in your tank to start us out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
With that gas, let's get started. So in the mid 80s, scrappy upstart Japanese developer Square finds themselves at a turning point. They have a bunch of games, but nothing that is come out for the Nintendo Famicom, but nothing that's like really going to bring them up, and they're facing bankruptcy at that point.
I know we've done this before. What's their what was their game before? Like what were they known for before
there's one
this?
There's one where you're like a polygon figure, like a geometric figure, and you're like throwing balls in the air or shooting spheres in the air.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that was Square. But nothing like that remarkable.
Okay.
So in a last-ditch effort, which would be series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was frustrated with all of this like kind of noise, and he set out to create which would be his last game before he was going to leave the industry altogether.
So it's his Final Fantasy.
It's his Final Fantasy. So
He's got enough left in him for one more fantasy.
He's got one more ride.
One more ride.
So Sakaguchi set out to create a fantasy RPG now, and this was in 1986. So Enix, which you may remember as the second half of Square, Enix was a separate company at the time. So Enix released Dragon Quest in 1986, and this was a hugely successful game in Japan. So Sakaguchi created a team who wanted to basically do that. And a lot of his developers were actually heavily inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. And you're going to see a lot of Dungeons and Dragons DNA, especially in the first entry. And then later in December of 1987, Sakaguchi's Final Fantasy was released to Japan to enough success to consider it a rival to Dragon Quest. But it would never quite beat Dragon Quest until the PlayStation era.
Wow.
So just a couple of major players. You've probably heard me reference most of these people before on this podcast, but when we talk about like the biggest hits, like the real fathers, grandfathers, mothers, and grandmothers of Final Fantasy, it's these people. So you've got Nobuo Uematsu, who is the primary composer of all of the Final Fantasy games up through 10, and then has been a collaborator on main themes through that. So he wrote the most iconic music of the franchise, the initial theme, the syncopation is what that's called. Is that called syncopation? I think it's called syncopation. He wrote like Aerith's theme, Eyes on Me, like all of the most iconic stuff.
Eyes on Me, the Weekend song.
Not Eyes on Me, the Weekend song. Eyes on Me,
Bo Burnham song.
Surprisingly,
Bo Burnham,
he's got a credit. He's got a featured credit on both those tracks. So
yeah. This is fun. This is fun for me. So we've got awesome. You also got Yoshitaka Amano. Yoshitaka Amano was the principal designer for 1 through 6. You have probably seen his art before. He's best known for very like. What's the word that is like not presenting of either sex?
Androgynous.
Yeah, he's got like a very androgynous theme, very like feminine, but still like kind of genderless. And he had done the box art for the original games. His art has been incorporated a lot in the Magic the Gathering set as well, and we're going to look at a couple of those pieces. Our boy, friend of the pod, Tetsuya Nomura, who was the lead designer beginning with 7, and then he produced a lot of the side titles and extended universes. He is the guy responsible for all the zippers, spiky-haired protagonists, and also Kingdom Hearts.
He brought us into the Hot Topic phase of the
new metal era.
The Hot Topic phase, yep. A more of an unsung hero, Yoshinori Kitase. Yoshinori Kitase has directed all of your favorite Final Fantasy titles, 6, 7, 8, and 10.
Oh,
yep. And then one of the more recent names at Square Enix is Naoki Yoshida. He is the rock and roll producer that runs FF14. He is the man that saved Final Fantasy 14 by literally blowing it up with a meteor. And we'll get to that.
Now, Andrew, when you say rock and roll producer, is that literal?
He's very much like a punk guy.
Okay.
Yeah, not literal.
Some of
Not
those
literal.
themes become real rock and rolly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
so-
of the pre-work you sent us, they escalated in
Yeah.
rock and rolliness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get more and more edgy as time goes on. Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna go game by game in numeric and chronological order, starting with, of course, Final Fantasy. People listening at home, I've got an Imager link, and by God, that Imager link is chunky. Now, granted, a lot of those images are card images that I pulled from Wizards Magic Set. So I will call out when we go through just normal images. And starting from the top at image 1, we have Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy, the original, was released in December of 1989 for the Famicom in Japan, and then wasn't released into North America for another 3 years, in 1990 for the NES.
And this is Yoshitaka Amano's art in
That's
image
correct.
1. Okay.
Yep, that is Amano's art of the titular Warrior of Light. That is not really based on anything in the game, but that image will become what is known as the headliner hero character of Final Fantasy 1.
I would also say that this is around the time that Nintendo very much felt like Americans didn't play RPGs.
Yeah.
So that 3-year gap is unsurprising.
And if you want a fun comparison, look up the image or the box art for the American version. It's very different.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I bet.
Yeah. So as you can tell from the American box art, Final Fantasy heavily inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said before, it's got a ton of those high fantasy staples. You've got elves, you've got dwarves, a lot of the classic monsters. Bahamut shows up, as well as like a bunch of other major characters from D&D, as well as spells and item names, fire magic, ice magic, right, potions and things. These are all just things that you would see in D&D. And just like D&D, you as the player control a party of 4 characters, all of whom have a different role. You can pick one of 6 classes, and your characters can be any of those classes. You've got Fighter, which was later retconned to Warrior. You've got Black Belt, which was later retconned to Monk. And you've got the Thief. Those are self-explanatory. And then you've got the Black Mage, the White Mage, and the Red Mage. And these are different focuses of spells, of spell slingers. Your Black Mage is more like destruction magic. White Mage is more like healing and protection magic. And Red Mage, in the context of Final Fantasy, it does a little bit of both. It can cast magic and also attack with sword.
The Blue Mage had not shown up yet.
Correct. Yeah. Blue Mage will be a little bit later.
Well, they
So
couldn't do
those are
blue
all
on
of
the
them.
NES.
Yeah, that's what it was.
that's probably it.
And astute listeners that know some of our branding will know that the little characters that we have either in our shop and on Twitch and some of our other elements are all based on these original Final Fantasy jobs.
That's right, listener. Did you know we have merch? You can get it right now at merchthis.net. That's right, merchthis.net, a very real URL that we own.
Yeah, you can get stickers of all these things or socks that have all these things on them.
Nice. All right, so the story is surprisingly pretty simple. The world has been plunged into darkness as the 4 crystals that control the elements of fire, wind, earth, and water, have all lost their light. A prophecy says that one day 4 mysterious adventurers known only as the Warriors of Light will appear and save the world from destruction. And so we play as those aforementioned Warriors of Light, and the game opens with us being tasked by the King of Cornelia to save his daughter, Princess Sarah. She's been kidnapped and taken to the Chaos Shrine nearby by Garland, a former knight of Cornelia. Now, again, this is like a D&D-ass session.
This is
Right,
this
yeah.
is D&D Mad Libs here.
Yes.
Just
Yep.
fill in the nouns and adjectives.
Exactly. So we go and confront Garland, but he gets away. Unfortunately, we rescue Sarah, and we continue on through the world to restore light to the crystals. We move across the continent. We save a village from a band of pirates. We free a town of elves from an evil wizard, among other RPG things. And eventually, we fight off the monster, the Lich, who we learn is one of the 4 fiends who are draining power from the crystals. Again, more D&DS stuff. So after we defeat Lich, we travel across the world to take down the other 3 fiends, the Maralith, the Kraken, and finally Tiamat. You know, the 5-headed dragon from D&D.
That
Right.
one.
Along the way, we encounter the King of Dragons, Bahamut, who offers to upgrade our character classes. So this is a major part of the game where you can level up all of get your advanced skill or your advanced classes in exchange for an item, the rare and worthless Rat's Tail. Used to get an epic drop.
Hold on.
Explain.
Excuse me.
Yeah. That literally, that's it. You go and you find Bahamut in his cave, and he says, "I'll make you more powerful if you give me the tail of a rat."
Oh,
All right.
Okay.
So there you go. So we defeat Tiamat. The final crystal is restored, but all of a sudden the power is absorbed by a time warp centering on the Chaos Shrine back where we started the game. We then follow that energy and we go 2,000 years back into the past, where we encounter the 4 fiends first being created by their master Chaos, who also is revealed to be Garland himself. Ooh. So we learned that this entity Chaos is the literal embodiment of Garland's hatred, and that merged with the elements of the crystals to draw on their power. And Garland, as Chaos, sent his fiends into the future to send himself 2,000 years back, thereby creating an infinite time loop to let him live forever. Don't question it.
Classic.
I have seen the 2021 movie Tenet, so I am familiar with this plot line.
Yeah, we take Chaos down and we save the world. End credits.
Easy.
Easy.
I assume that being the first of the Final Fantasies, that all the rest are that direct and not convoluted.
cut and dry, no issues.
Yeah, real easy. We got the team, we got the bad guy, we did it.
Andrew, 2 questions. One,
Hit me.
if I were to play this game today in the year of our Lord 2025, about how many hours would I sink into it?
Well,
Beginning to end, assuming I'm not like playing the most efficient playthrough.
Yeah, so I'll this answer applies for the first 6 games. So every single Final Fantasy game except for 11 can be played on current gen consoles and or PC, which is very cool. And technically 11 can be played on PC, but let's not go there. So FF 1 through 6 are all available in the Pixel remasters, which are remasters that came out a couple years ago. They're also available on Switch and PlayStation, Xbox, pretty much anything. And they're very, very good. Those Pixel remasters do a lot of quality of life improvements. They up-res, they increase, so they redo a lot of the graphics to make them standardized with the SNES era graphics. But more importantly, they add in fast forwards and like double EX power leveling features. Because the thing about these games is they're all very, very grindy. The original FF1 was so hard, was so like just punishingly difficult. If you've played turn-based RPGs before, you know, like you input, like let's say you're just like mashing attack, right? Like you're playing Pokemon or something, or you're mashing attack. Well, imagine like you're fighting 4 things and you keep mashing attack, and like your third party member crits and kills one of the monsters. If you, in the original game, if you selected to attack a monster and it dies before your attack resolves,
You just burn
your
that attack.
fizzles.
Yeah.
What a cool thing.
Which like is just like, oh God. So there's a lot of like quality of life improvements. So the Pixel Remaster cuts down a lot of the grinding. So you could, as a result, you could probably blow through it in less than 10 hours.
Okay. Second question. Do what I assume trademarked characters Tiamat and Bahamut show back up in the series?
Good question, Kyle. Tiamat does not, but Bahamut is in pretty much every game outside of 2.
Yeah, I think Bahamut is public domain.
Yeah.
If that even applies to that. But okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Final Fantasy II. So there are a couple of these classic games that were never released to North America until very much later. And the first of those is FF2. So FF2 was originally released in Japan in December of 1988, and then was re-released, given a North American release as part of Final Fantasy Origins, along with FF1, that was released in 2003 for the PlayStation. So again, we didn't get FF1 until 1990. By the time, and it didn't do great in the States, it did okay. So the next one that we would get after that sequentially was FF4, which we'll get to in a bit. So image 3 is FF2. This is another Amano illustration. I really like these. I haven't included all of them. You can go look them up if you're interested. But I think this is one of my favorite. This is probably my favorite. This is of the main character Firion. FF2 is Final Fantasy's The Adventure of Link or Mario 2. It's weird. It's awkward. It's the least popular of the bunch.
Man, if that was not kart games in 1990, holy shit.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. It's also the only mainline entry I've never played. So I had to look this one up. One of the reasons people don't love it is the leveling system was dramatically altered from FF1. So instead of just like leveling up from EXP, you have to raise your stats individually based on what your characters do in battle. What Todd's reading ahead. What that devolves to is like you have to just like attack each other like forever in infinitum.
To boost your defense, you've got to take hits. So you do it with your character. So
it sucks.
That's lame.
That sucks real hard.
There's a cool keyword mechanic that they experimented with as a way to like drive narrative forward. So like there's like certain dialogue options that you can unlock by picking the right keywords, which is pretty cool. It's very much like a prototypical, like a Mass Effect sort of dialogue tree thing.
Yeah.
And it's not all bad, right? Like this was Square's first foray into like epic narrative, the kind of epic storytelling that Final Fantasy would become known for. It also is famous for introducing a lot of the staples like chocobos and Sid. Who's Sid?
Oh, our guy.
Our boy. So our story begins with the rise of the evil Palamecian Empire. What I want you guys to do is try and keep track of all of the cliches that you start to hear.
I got a feeling that if this were a drinking game, we would not make it out.
If you drank every time you heard the evil empire, you would be dead at the end of this episode. So the story begins with the rise of the evil Palamecian Empire, taking over the continent with the literal army of hell. We begin by playing a party of 4 orphans, who are caught in the crossfire while attempting to flee. And they're attacked by the Empire soldiers. So we see Firion, Maria, Guy, and Maria's brother Leon all left to die. We fade out and we fade back in as the former of the 3 are rescued and nursed back to health by the Wild Rose Rebellion, although Leon is nowhere to be found. And so Firion, Maria, and Guy join the resistance and support the Wild Rose. Helping their leader Hilda. They provide aid to nearby towns. They do other RPG shit, yada, yada, yada. At the game's midpoint, they uncover the Empire's plot to develop an unparalleled war machine, the airship Dreadnought. This is also where we get airships. We had
lots of airships. I know that about Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yep. And the person leading the development is a mysterious figure known only as the Dark Knight. Also, the Dark Knight seems very familiar to Maria. Wonder why. The Empire completes the Dreadnought and bombs all the cities nearby, exerting their dominance. Fortunately, the rebel base is fine, and so the party goes to find Sid, who owns the world's only other airship.
Of course.
Cool.
Sure, Sid. Cool, man.
Yep. After thwarting a plan to capture Hilda, replace her with a shape-shifting Lamia queen, I don't know, the party meets up with the big bad Emperor Matthias himself. Matthias goes full on Palpatine and opens up a portal to hell. Firion, Maria, and Guy escape along with that Dark Knight. That Dark Knight is Maria's brother Leon, so he's the fourth party member. You get it. Emperor Matthias submerges all of his kingdom of Palamecia into the bowels of hell. That transforms it into the demonic Castle Pandemonium, to which the four chase and confront him. They kill Matthias' demonic form and restore peace to the kingdom. Roll credits.
Nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Easy. FF3.
I'm in so far.
Right.
Yeah.
FF3. I played FF3. FF3 is really fun. It is hard as balls. It is famously the hardest one of this series by a mile.
Interesting to say.
Yeah.
Is this going to be like a Mother Beginnings, Earthbound Beginnings
Yes,
is insufferably bad because they just build a bad game?
It's not a. It's
Like
not
the
a
system, you get attacked like a Zubat every 3 steps kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like that. It's just that it doesn't have any ways to save your game because it has save points. And it is like the last fourth of the game is just a grueling, punishing marathon through 4 dungeons that do not let you, that only have a few save points and do not let you full heal or rest.
Ugh.
I don't feel as bad about bailing when I did then.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is the next time we do a charity stream, that we'll take donations for how many hours of this you have to play.
Yeah, like a walkathon, but it's Final Fantasy 3.
Ugh. That said,
I'd rather run the
Pixel-
5K.
Yeah.
Well,
Pixel
of course
Remaster.
you would, Todd.
Yeah.
Pixel Remaster allows you to quick save, so this isn't a problem.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right. So this was the second of those not originally released outside of Japan. FF3 was first released in April of 1990 for the Famicom. Again, 2 months, just timeline, 2 months before we got FF1, right? And again, because of its famous difficulty, FF3 wasn't even considered for an English translation until it was rebuilt from the ground up in 3D and purchased by Kyle's mom for the DS in November of 2006.
No, I think I purchased this.
Okay.
So I would have actually been 16 and had a job at this point in my life. And
Purchased by Kyle then, excuse me. I should change my notes.
Read reviews and made the decision. It's like, oh, Final Fantasy, a franchise I've heard of. And then here we are today.
It was besides Final Fantasy Tactics, one of the few, like the only, this was technically, I think, the first mainline Final Fantasy game to appear on a Nintendo console in like a long time.
Yeah, I believe. So, yeah, that was part of the hype.
Yeah.
Part of why I got it.
And when it originally came out in 1990, it was sort of a return to form. It went back to FF1's format of like nameless protagonists doing D&D shit, searching for the 4 elemental crystals. It created what is known as the job system, which is one of the most, Todd mentioned like blue mages and dragoons earlier, right? This is like one of the most iconic elements of Final Fantasy. So in FF3, you go out throughout the game, you unlock different jobs, capital J jobs, that allow your characters to wield special equipment, use skills, and you level up and you create these like devastating party comps. Now, FF3 did this in a very different way. A lot of the jobs were created as sort of like lock and key solutions. So like you would fight, there's a part where you fight an enemy that does like a pretty much like a party wipe every 3 turns. And the only way to dodge it is if you play a Dragoon so that you can jump, which means that you skip a turn, you're off screen, and then do like massive damage.
So they're
Fly from Pokemon.
Yeah.
You fly from Pokemon.
So the jobs are kind of like the Mega Man power-ups where you get the specific one to go beat the specific boss or dungeon. Okay.
Exactly. So FF3 starts with 4 unnamed youths falling into a cave during an earthquake. They move through that cave and they discover the Wind Crystal, which bestows upon them great powers as the chosen warriors of light, and tells them to find the other 3 crystals to save the world from the encroaching darkness. And they do that. Throughout the journey, and they do that. So throughout the journey, now in Kyle's version, in the DS version, they actually gave those characters names and like backstories. Originally, they were just like
Free.
onion knights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So throughout the journey, we learn that the map that we're on is actually just like a singular mass of land and water floating above. It's a floating continent above a much larger surface world that's been like completely destroyed and is covered in swirling darkness. This is due to a ancient civilization ding that triggered a cataclysmic flood of light. And so 4 warriors of darkness were chosen to restore the balance.
Is that a flood of capital L light?
Capital L light.
That's very nice. Got it.
okay.
All right.
Matt gets me.
Yeah. I see what's happening here.
Yeah. We meet up with Sid, who gives us an airship.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
He tells us that our party of 4 actually came from the surface world, and we were among a group of survivors that were on an airship to come up to the floating continent when it crash landed, and we don't remember anything because our group party were like babies or whatever.
I think I dipped shortly after
Okay, that is the halfway point.
Okay, great.
Yep. So after Kyle dipped out, he would have normally gone from area to area on the surface world. Say you save a town from a mind-controlling king. You team up with a bunch of dwarves to defeat a dragon. Eventually, we encounter the sage Doga and his Moogles. This is the beginning of the Moogles as well, the little white puffball creatures.
Oh, okay. Not Orpho from He-Man.
I don't know that reference.
That's the I'll find it. It's
Okay.
the one.
the one?
It looks like a black mage from Final Fantasy 1. No face,
Oh,
just
okay.
the eyes, in the robes. Is that Orpho?
I don't know. I'm caught up on
couldn't tell ya.
Doga and the Moogles as a band name. I just really like that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Question for the referee here. So we meet up with Sid.
Yep.
Sid has an airship.
Yep.
Is this the same Sid from Final Fantasy 2?
Ooh, good question.
Or is this the beginning of Sid is one of
Yeah.
the doctors and a Time Lord and exists in
Yes,
multiple
it's that,
timelines
it's
and
that.
dimensions? Okay.
So starting with Final Fantasy 2, every Final Fantasy has a Sid. Every Final Fantasy Sid is different. Sid is not a
Yeah.
Nexus being.
I respect that a lot. Like
It's a fun
there's been a couple of these fantasies, and the fact that after the first one they got to the second one, they're like, Sid, airship, and then like, oh, what if we keep bringing Sid back?
So now
What
Yeah.
if we just keep bringing Sid back?
So now that
Yeah.
we've talked about Sid, have you, Andrew, especially, have you seen the bit they're doing?
It's in there.
In
It's in
Sid? With Sid? Okay. Well,
We might get to it at the end of part 2, but we'll get to it.
Okay.
Good God.
Yeah. It's a very good bit. I like it a lot.
It's a good bit.
Yeah, so it kind of Sid kind of starts out as the Deus Ex Machina, as like somebody has to give us an airship. But after the third bit of time of doing that, I think they made a joke out of it. So and sometimes Sid is a bad guy too. Like Sid isn't always just like a friendly airship man.
Huh.
So
That's bold.
it's
Big
cool.
swings.
Big swings.
That's call him Sid Big Sid
Big swing
Swings.
Sid.
Sometimes
Big swing
Sid
Sid.
sometimes Sid is your hot dad.
Whoa.
Shit's weird.
Sometimes.
Shit's weird. So anyway, we meet Doga, and Doga explains to us that he was among this ancient civilization, and he, along with 2 other people, studied under the great magus Noah. Doga was gifted vast magic power. His pupil Une was gifted power of dreams, and then their third pupil Zande was gifted mortality, which is real shitty. Real shitty.
Yeah.
you get the power of dreams. You get the power of dying someday.
Yeah, exactly. So Zande didn't love that, and drained power from the water and earth crystals, which would stop the flow of time and split that continent from the rest of the world. So that created this floating continent. Cool. The party finds the remaining crystals, gets the rest of the jobs, and takes down threats emerging from the darkness to finally reveal Zande's location at the top of the Crystal Tower. So, in order to get to Zande, we make our way through the Labyrinth of the Ancients, We make a pit stop through Eureka, the Forbidden Land, to get some ultimate weapons. And then we climb the Crystal Tower to confront Zonde. So as I said before, this is 3 mega dungeons.
Yeah, if I ever found myself in a Final Fantasy situation, I feel like I would start at the top of the Crystal Tower.
You started the top of the Crystal Tower.
I'm seeing a theme.
If I had a bad guy I was looking for, and I knew there was a Crystal Tower, I'd be like, should we check out that Crystal Tower?
Something. It's like Wakanda, hidden plain sight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
sure,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, good point. Good point. So we fight to the top of the Crystal Tower. We confront Zonde. After we defeat him, he is swallowed up by an entity of pure darkness, revealing the big bad evil guy, the BBEG, the Cloud of Darkness.
Oh.
Which actually is like a pretty cool design. Like, look up Cloud of Darkness.
Absolutely.
It's pretty dope.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
It's just we're going to get a lot of...
But it's very silly.
Noun of darkness in this, I'm sure.
Yep. Well, speaking of, we follow this portal to the world of darkness.
Got it.
And we fight figments of the warriors of darkness to save their souls so that we can take on the Cloud of Darkness. Yep.
Oh,
so
this is a cool design.
It's a cool design. So after and this I have in my notes, like a grueling series of super bosses, we finally take down the Cloud of Darkness after 8 super bosses and 2 save points, and we go home. Roll credits.
Nice. That's the Cloud of Darkness.
Super bosses.
That's that would be Amano's. That would be Amano's art.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
Is like if Andrew, I'm gonna make a comparison. If Andrew had the same affinity for rad but niche art that Matt has as a tattoo, Andrew would get this tattoo.
Yes.
That was too many things.
It was too many things. I followed, but...
Yeah, like if you were bold enough to get a tattoo about a thing you love with deep lore, it's this.
Final Fantasy IV.
I stand by what I said.
I got you, Todd. Here's the Here's the Funko
Kyle.
Pop version.
Funko Pop version?
Incoming.
Anyway,
Okay.
I love
That's pretty cool.
that's got anyway. Here's Wonderwall energy. Funko Pop. Cool. Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV is a lot of people's first Final Fantasy and is one of the best. I had never played this until last year on the Pixel Remaster, and I can't recommend it enough. If you've never played Final Fantasy before and you're itching for a classic turn-based JRPG, highly recommend Final Fantasy IV.
Okay.
So, FF4 was released in July of 91 in Japan for the Super Famicom, and then it was released in November of 91 to the SNES. This was also originally released as Final Fantasy II in the States.
Oh,
Yes,
I
that is
remember
confusing.
this.
Yeah. Very confusing. FF4 draws on FF2's roots. So we kind of see a pattern where the odd numbered entries are a little bit lighter, more like Dungeon D&D-esque. And then the even numbered entries are these epic Odyssey type operas, operatic narratives. So this is the latter. FF4 also introduced the active time battle mechanic, or ATB, which I've mentioned on the show before. Active time battle is just a way to do turn-based combat, but it attaches a clock to everything. So you queue up your moves and certain things take longer than others. So if you're casting a really powerful spell, you might be vulnerable to get hit for a couple rounds or something like that. And if you take longer time to make decisions, you'll pay for it. This actually would be the basis of all Final Fantasy combat from 4 all the way to 9. So we're going to be stuck on, we'll kind of stand on the active time battle for a while. So with the story, we begin with our protagonist, Cecil. Cecil is a dark knight, and he's captain of the elite air force of the Kingdom of Baron. Cecil leads the charge to capture the water crystal from the city of Mysidia, which is a town of peaceful mages. During this raid, he questions his ethics as he watches these like unarmed people being struck down, all in the name of stealing this power for their king of Baron, the king who with whom he's also very close with, as he's basically his adoptive father. However, when he returns, he questions the king's orders and immediately has his title stripped from him. His best friend, the Dragoon Kane, Kane joins him, and the two journey to perform a task to kill an Eidolon, which is a powerful summoned creature, in order to redeem Cecil's status. His girlfriend, the white mage Rosa, and her father Sid,
there it is.
Also start asking questions about the king's sanity. So basically, everyone is like, "The hell's going on in Baron?"
Why the ding for the Dragoon Cane? I missed that one flew by.
We've been
me.
talking about dragoons.
Oh, okay.
That's all. Yeah. So we're gonna see there is so Kane is kind of like the creates the archetype of the dragoon, which is this like very like lean soldier decked out in heavy armor who often has like a long spear and jumps like real high up in the air, and now every dragoon since that does that. I don't know why. It's just what they do.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah, they like to jump. And also in the magic set, every dragoon in the set gets flying for one round, which I really like.
Love that.
Yeah. So where are we? So Cecil and Kane take down the Eidolon, realize that it was actually defending a nearby town that they walk into, now witness being bombed by actual bomb monsters that explode in fire.
Oops.
Cecil, in the panic, saves a young girl named Rydia, who he learns had just been orphaned because her mother was the one that had been controlling that Eidolon. So basically, Cecil is responsible for this girl's mother dying and her village being slaughtered.
Oops. Awesome.
Cool.
Neat.
An earthquake separates Cecil from Kane, and finally, like fed it with Baron's actions, he officially abdicates his position in his kingdom, and he leaves Baron for good. So Cecil journeys throughout the continent, encounters more victims of the war crimes of his former squad, the Red Wings. Now they're being led by a real son of a bitch in black armor named Golbez, and that's image 4. Just a hulking brick shithouse of a man.
Oh yeah. Man. He's a biggin'.
Yeah. Golbez is a really fucking cool design. He's just big, stupid. He kind of looks like Dark Helmet from Spaceballs a little bit.
Does.
So Golbez has set out on an all-out campaign of war to reclaim the rest of the crystals. So Cecil and his friends set out to stop him. Rosa's also there because she and Sid had fled Baron after Golbez took over. So after a time, Cecil tracks down Golbez, but it interrupted by a familiar figure. Kane shows up and strikes him down. And along with Golbez, Kane and Golbez kidnap Rosa. Cecil is broken at the loss of his girlfriend and his best friend. Cecil and his party are then shipwrecked by an attack that separates the most of them, and he finds himself right outside of the town that he slaughtered, Mysidia.
Man, this story is just a beating until the
brutal.
end, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
So the elder, this is where like I think the coolest part of FF4. So the elder of Mysidia says, "Hey, you're kind of a piece of shit. If you want to atone for your sins, if you want to be truly forgiven, you need to journey to the top of Mount Ordeals to become a paladin." And this is like the most famous part of this game, like Final Fantasy IV telling story through gameplay. You go up, you climb the top of the mountain, and as Cecil, you have this one-on-one battle against the shadow of himself.
Nice.
And the secret to the fight is you have to not attack. So you're fighting your Dark Knight version of yourself, and if you just continue to defend, your Dark Knight version of yourself will blow away, and you will back off, and you will forgive yourself of your crimes. And Cecil emerges as a paladin clad in white. Very cool.
That's rad.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. and his skills and abilities change. So like you walk out of the cave and you immediately level up to like level 30, and it's just like it's so good dopamine too.
Oh
You're
yeah.
like, oh yeah.
I just saw this
yeah.
card today, and now this makes sense.
And now it makes sense. Yep. That's what we're gonna do. So after learning of Golbez's plans and learning that the reason why Cain attacked them is that he was brainwashed, Cecil and the party go to the Tower of Zot to take down Golbez and save Rosa and Cain. Now they're able to save Rosa and break the control on Cain, but they can't defeat Golbez. And for whatever reason, Golbez can't also bring himself to kill Cecil, and instead he flees. That's weird. They later find out that Golbez is attempting to open a pathway to the moon.
Hey, that's the opposite direction that we usually go.
Yeah, man. We've gone down to hell. Now we're going up to space. And following another massive tower. And this game also has a lot of self-sacrificing, like a lot of self-sacrifices. After more self-sacrifices, the party finds the means to fly to the moon and chase after Golbez.
Amazing.
Do we get weirder?
Do we fly to the moon on our airship?
No, we fly to the moon on the lunar whale, Kyle.
The lunar whale?
Say more, Andrew. Say
look
more.
Look up the lunar whale. Just do it.
Don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the like Lisa Frank backpacks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean
It's a whale with jets.
All right. So also, remember Rydia, the little girl that he orphaned?
Yeah.
It's cool because he finds her. She was actually taken to the hidden home of the Eidolons, where time moves faster, and she's a full-grown adult now.
Oh, good.
So that's fine. She also has the power to summon the King of Summons himself, Bahamut.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they're on the moon. Cecil and co meet a moon man named Fusoya.
Yeah. As soon as you're saying moon man in a fantasy game, you're a little off.
Yeah.
You've heard of jumping the shark. What if we jumped the lunar whale?
So Fusoya reveals that he has been charged with watching over the sleeping people of the Lunarians, a race of moon people who are all in cold storage.
On the nose.
On the nose. Yeah. So Fusoya explains that the Lunarians sent his brother to the blue, they call it the blue planet, to teach all of the natives there. And that particular person ended up having two sons. One of them was Cecil, and the other one was Golbez. So
long lost brother.
Long
trope.
lost brothers.
Yeah, there's another
Here we
one.
are. So,
Ring the bell.
So that's a thing. Meanwhile, during this backstory, we hear of a Lunarian named Zemus. Zemus wanted to conquer the planet. Unfortunately, he was restrained, but his influence reached out to the planet below and infected Golbez. So Golbez has been brainwashed or possessed by the influence of Zemus. So Cecil and friends confront Golbez one last time, and the two share a brief reunion as Golbez actually remembers Cecil and breaks the influence of Zemus. He leaves, and Cecil's party go to the heart of the lunar subterranean to fight Zemus, which is just a big scary cloud. Not like the cloud of darkness, just a cloud of hate and nihilism.
Lunar subterranean meaning like we're fighting in moon caves. We're fighting
caves.
Moon caves. All right.
So Golbez and Fusoya show up. They help us take down Zemus, but as they're doing so, they unleash a bigger, scarier version at its core called Zeromus.
It's just that moon's haunted meme.
The moon's a little haunted. So Cecil and company fight the big bad in the center of the moon. The party succeeds, and Fusoya returns to his hut on the moon, while Golbez exiles himself as penance. Cecil returns home to become the king of Baron with Rosa at his side, and Cain leaves Baron knowing that he was able to be brainwashed, because the backstory to all of that is Cain was also in love with Rosa, which is why he allowed himself to get brainwashed, yada, yada, yada. The rest of the characters I didn't mention all have their own endings too. The end roll credits.
The end roll credits. Was Cain in love with child Rosa? And that's
No,
why
that's Rydia.
Okay.
Rosa is just Cecil's girlfriend, the White Mage.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know. This is name soup.
I was really curious because, you were talking about these first couple games, and I was like, man, I kind of like this. I was curious when I was going to get off. 4.
Was it the
4.
moon one?
Yeah, it's the moon one. Yeah,
no, I'm in. We can't pretend the opening a portal to the moon isn't fantasy. Come on, guys.
Dope as hell.
Yeah.
I think it's just that it's like, well, the third act is the moon, like that's kind of the weird part for me. Is it doesn't lead to moon. It becomes moon.
The moon, not the real moon that we have visited and like put a flag on, but like the moon
I haven't
as
been to the moon, Kyle.
the moon as a like fantasy location
As a concept.
works for me. Like as a
Okay.
like it's the moon as like space Atlantis works for me.
All right. Sure.
That groks. I'm there.
All right, Final Fantasy V. So Final Fantasy V is the last of the games that never got an original English release. So FF5 was released in December of 1992 for the Super Famicom. And then it was its first English translation was as part of, Final Fantasy Anthology, which was also packed along with FF6 for PlayStation in December of 1999. So I had this one. FF5 is one of my favorite to play. It is definitely the silliest one, but I also think it's the most fun to play. Like it is for me, if you like real chunky mechanics, you'll love FF5. Because FF5 continues where 3 left off as the full realization of the job system. So anyone who's played Tactics or Tactics Advanced knows this really well. Basically, now you can, instead of just having jobs in isolation, you train people on certain jobs and then you get skills like that you can share across classes. So everybody can have their own like customized. So like if you have trained blue magic, you can go to another job and like lock in blue magic while you have another job equipped.
Okay.
It checks the boxes of multi-classing in D&D, if that's,
Sure.
enjoyment.
Nice.
Cool. So we begin with our protagonist Bartz and his chocobo Boko. In the PlayStation version, it was incorrectly translated to Butz, B-U-T-Z.
Hell yeah.
So Bartz discovers a meteor that's crash landed. There is a young woman named Lena who's being attacked by goblins, and an old man with amnesia named Goluf. And together they form a party and they come across the wind crystal, which upon touching it shatters, giving them the powers of the warriors of light. Ding. They then infiltrate a pirate camp with the plan of stealing a ship. But while they're there, they're caught by the captain of the pirates, Faris. Faris realizes they share the same pendant as Lena and says, instead I'm going to join you on your journey. And we later find out much later in the game that Faris and Lena are actually long-lost sisters. And Lena is the princess of the nearby kingdom. So Faris is also a princess. Doesn't matter from here on out. Now, as in other games, Bartz and his friends journey across the land, searching for the remaining crystals, saving dragons, getting into scrapes, fighting monsters, you get it. Eventually, they meet up with Sid, but now he has a granddaughter whose name is Mid, which is fun.
Oh, that's
Incredible.
fun.
Yeah.
Incredible naming convention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is ID
not
the
as
surname?
well. So I'll give you one better. In FF3, Sid's wife is named Mrs. Sid.
Wow. Okay. So it might be. Wait, hold on. Is this anything?
It's something.
The Sid, the Shigo, and the Super Shigo? Is that anything?
It's
All
not
right,
nothing.
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
The words went together in that order in my head.
No, it's good. It's good. So after talking with Sid and Mid, they reveal that Galuf is actually from another world that sits parallel to this world. Sorry, Matt. Suddenly, Galuf remembers he was the one that arrived on that meteorite. He rode that meteorite like that guy rides that rocket in Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove.
And then he also remembered his granddaughter Kryl, who is still back on the other world. Cool. Also, Galuf remembers 30 years ago, he and 3 other warriors sealed away an evil warlock named X-Death.
X-Death?
X-Death.
That's either a pro wrestler or a new metal band. That exists.
X-Death is at least 2 new metal bands, I think, Matt.
Yeah.
It's not
X-D-E-A-T-H.
Death is not capitalized. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
X-Death one word, like not X-Death. X-Death.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
X-Death does look pretty fucking cool. I'll give you that.
He does. It's cool design. He is also just a brick shit house of a man. X-Death was sealed using the power of the crystals and now is trying to escape. He came to this world to try and stop from X-Death from shattering the world's crystals to free himself or whatever. Later, Kryl arrives on another meteorite. Cool. Galuf reclaims his memories and realizes, oh shit, X-Death was successful and actually took over our home world, and we gotta go get him. So,
we're doing a time heist?
We're doing a parallel universe.
Oh, a
heist,
multiversal heist. Sorry, I'm in the wrong
multiversal
phase.
heist. Yeah, yeah. This is phase 5 nonsense. So Galuf and Kryl plan to return and close the channel between the 2 worlds. And they told the others, hey, don't stay here. Don't follow us. And of course, they don't listen and follow them to the other world anyway. So our heroes find themselves in the parallel world. There, they fight in an epic battle on the Big Bridge, which is led by an insane samurai named Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh becomes a series regular as the comic relief character. I don't have a picture here, but I have his magic card later on.
Good.
They also, while in the other world, learn that Galuf is a king here, so that's cool. Bartz learns that his father was actually one of the other of those 4 warriors they called the Dawn Warriors, along with Galuf and also a werewolf man. And don't worry about it. And after 30 years ago, after they sealed X-Death, Bart's father remained in the other world, the original world, the first world, to watch for signs of X-Death's emergence. And in an attempt to try and stop X-Death from shattering the remaining crystals, Galuf fights off X-Death within an inch of his life. X-Death flees, but Galuf dies to his injuries, and Kryl takes his place. This is a cool moment because until this point, Galuf has been one of our main party characters, and Kryl just assumes all of his items and skills and abilities. But if you play Galuf like most people do, including myself, you gave him all of the big tanky jobs because he's a big burly man.
Big tanky man. Yeah.
So now his little granddaughter, his little girl Kryl is your main tank, which I always find is really funny.
Good.
That is kind of funny. It's also kind of funny that they just land-filled land guild
Yeah.
from Beer Fest.
Pretty much. Okay, so Kryl is now the 4th slot of your party. Along with Kryl, we learned that long ago the world was split into 2 parallel reflections as a means to seal the power of the void. And now X-Death has been able to merge the 2 worlds back together with the plans to have the void swallow everything. So, cool.
Dang.
Beans. So the party travels around this newly merged world. So just to kind of recap, we go to World 1, we travel to World 2. We start in World 1, we travel to World 2, we go around World 2, and then the 2 worlds merge together. So we get this kind of amalgamation of Worlds 1 and 2. And we go through these new locations collecting the 12 sealed weapons, along with the power of Holy and Flare, which are come back again and again in the FF series as the most powerful magic. And the team flies into the center of the interdimensional rift to confront X-Death. Inside the void, they find the true source of all of this evil. Just a big tree.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, just a big tree that was designed to seal away malicious spirits, and over the course of time, it was taken over by those spirits.
Being filled with mystic spirits made it evil. With evil spirits made it evil. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We can't be surprised.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
Didn't we do another game with a big tree? Was that Elden Ring?
Elden
Is there
Ring
a
had
From
the
Soft game?
Yeah,
Elden Ring
yeah,
had
big
the Erd tree.
Erd
Yeah.
Erd
tree.
tree. Yeah. All right. All right.
Yeah, good memory. Yeah.
Big,
thanks.
big trees are pretty common fantasy trope, I feel.
Yeah. Usually though, I feel like big tree good. I don't feel like often that big tree bad.
Typically, Kirby would tell you otherwise.
Kirby big tree bad.
Big tree bad.
Magic had a bad big tree too.
Yeah, this isn't going to be the last of our big evil trees, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Of the tropes that I knew Final Fantasy would have, big evil tree
Didn't think
wasn't
that
on
was
the
one of
list.
them. So the whole point is X-Death is like created by the spirits of this malicious tree. We fight X-Death. X-Death is then consumed back by the tree and turned into Neo X-Death.
It's my other favorite new metal band. That's the new metal band after the first singer died and they got a new singer.
Yeah, pretty much. So we take down Neo X-Death, return to the merged world that's now free of X-Death's reign. Roll credits.
This game is the origin of at least 4 types of edgy 4chan guy. Then is what I'm getting. Neo X Death is super edgy 4chan guy.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, so this is the big one. Final Fantasy VI. This is what really Final Fantasy VI walked so that Final Fantasy VII could run. It was the first really successful game RPG in the States. Dragon Quest was never a big deal in the US, right? After Chrono Trigger, the world was finally ready for Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy VI did it in a big way. So let's jump in. So FF6 was released in April of 1994 in Japan for the Super Famicom. Then it was released in October of 94 to the Super Nintendo as Final Fantasy III. Yes, also confusing.
Cool.
So 6 follows where 4 left off with that like epic operatic narrative over your D&D classic RPG gameplay, right? Much also like 4 had all of your characters with predetermined roles, right? Like Rosa was the white mage, Palom and Polum were the black mages. FF6 does the same thing. Every character has a predetermined class and a baked-in ability. I started typing something and I got distracted and
lost the thread there.
don't know what that was. So let's move
awesome.
on. Yep. So we open with our protagonist, a mysterious woman named Terra. This is also the first protagonist that's a woman. So there's that.
Progress.
Terra's got amnesia, ding, and a curious aptitude for magic. Now, this is only strange because we learned in the opening credits that the world was devastated by the War of the Magi many, many years ago. And magic was outlawed and has effectively become extinct in people. And now armies wield the power of magitech, which are these like steampunky technical marvels built using compressed magic they called magicite. This is also Final Fantasy's first, this is like the steampunk one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Terra is being mind controlled to lead a team of soldiers riding these big metallic magitech walkers. They look like Star Wars AT-ATs. Their mission is or ATSTs, their mission is to raid the city of Narsh to find a powerful entity known as an Esper.
Is that city named after the thing from
Thundercats?
Thundercats. Yeah, thank you.
Snarf.
Snarf, yeah.
Snarf.
Thought that was going to be a Randy's dad
Pretty good.
joke.
Randy
Oh,
Nash.
that's also good.
That's a good one too.
Well, you'll hear it a couple more times.
Guys, we're really funny.
We're hilarious.
Really funny. So once they find the Esper, the being releases a pulse of magical energy that knocks the whole group out. Tara awakens in a nearby inn, freed of their control. She had what is called a slave crown on her head.
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't know
Pretty
about
fucked.
that.
So we learn about the evil Gestalt Empire, whose army is led by a man named Kefka Palazzo. Kefka looks and sounds like a clown in Image 5.
Oh.
He does.
He's the Joker.
Oh.
He's the Final Fantasy Joker.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now, every time you hear Kefka, his little sprite, think of the SNES sound chip, right? He does a laugh. He does a very famous, iconic laugh, and it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah. I can hear it in my mind's ear.
Cool. Cool.
Tara in Narsh meets the leader of the resistance, and a thief named Locke, who, with the help of some Mughals, smuggle Tara out of Narsh. Locke and Tara then travel to the nearby Figaro, where they meet up with another friend of the resistance, Edgar, who's also the king of Figaro. It's fine. Sure. Following attack on Figaro, led by Kefka, the three of them seek out Edgar's brother Sabin, who is a monk that has exiled himself on top of a mountain in solitude. They then learn of another attack coming, but are separated while attempting to raft down the mountain because of a very silly octopus named Ultros.
Can you
Sure.
hold on? I just want to. I heard it. Raft down the mountain. You say?
Yeah, they
Sick.
rafted down a mountain.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm in. We're doing like a.
He's back in.
The
back in.
first level of Sonic Adventure 2 battle. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, sure. So Locke meets up with an Imperial general who has fled the Empire, whose name is Celis. Celis also has some magical aptitude. Sabin, meanwhile, befriends a knight named Cyan, who he helps return to his home of Doma. Once they get there, they see Doma, the entire Doma castle. The people are actively dying from poisoned water, thanks to Kefka.
Oh no.
Because Kefka is Final Fantasy Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Edgar and Tara return to Narsh to defend the frozen Esper from the Empire. They are successful, but yet again, the Esper releases a pulse of powerful energy. Except this time, Tara transforms into a glowing pink monster and flies off.
Oh.
That's weird.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought for a second Tara was a Moogle, which would have made that feel different.
Tara is not a Moogle. Tara is just a woman.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just a woman. Wow.
Understandable.
Wow, Andrew.
All right.
Thought you were an ally.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, I'm a piece of shit. That's fair. Sabin and Cyan rejoin Edgar in the search for Tara. They eventually find her under the care of the Esper Ramu. Ramu is a recurring summon character. He looks like Moses.
Oh.
He just looks like a bearded man with the power of lightning. I don't know. I guess he's supposed to be based off of like Zeus, but he just looks. I always thought he just looks like Moses.
Does he look to make a different comparison? Does he look like Raiden from MK?
No,
Oh,
he
okay.
looks like Zeus. He's just got a big dumb beard.
All right.
Ramu explains that the magicite that the Empire wields is the concentrated magical enemy of slain Espers, and that Tara may be one of said Espers. So Ramu says, hey, save my friends that are trapped in the Imperial Castle. I will offer you my services by killing myself and turning myself into magicite. Magicite is the way we equip magicite to our characters, and then they can do magic and summon abilities.
Is that how he presents that to him? Like, do this and I'll kill myself so you can have
More or
magic?
less. Yeah,
Oh,
more or
okay.
less.
All right.
Paraphrasing. Meanwhile, go back to Locke and Celis. They realize that they need to steal an airship to get back to their friends, so they hatch a plan to replace Celis with the opera star Maria in the upcoming debut of Maria and Draco at the Opera House. That's correct. There is a 16-minute opera that you play through in this game, and I know, Matt, it's fucking incredible. It's fucking incredible. It is.
Oh, is that what Matt was gonna say?
Say less, Andrew. I'm so in.
This scene is in like top 3 memorable moments, like the first time I ever played this scene is like up there.
Is the fifth element just Final Fantasy VI in space and with Bruce Willis?
Could be.
I don't like what you've done, Kyle. I don't like that. I would no.
Because you like the fifth element and don't like what Andrew's saying?
Exactly. That's why. 100%.
I think you need to re-examine your biases then, Matt, because both things sound pretty rad to me.
I think if you have even a passing interest in this game, you should look up the original Super Nintendo version of Maria and Draco just to see how the thing about this game is they pushed the Super Nintendo to its absolute limit, right? Like every end of life game does this, but FF6 does it in a way that I don't think any other game has, where like the stuff that they were able to crank out of this sound chip is pretty incredible.
I was going to say, I know, because I've downloaded ROMs of it, and I know it's a big thing that like every emulator site recommends you play the GBA version, but patch in the SNES sound because this pushed it so far on the SNES that the GBA can't emulate the full sound.
Exactly.
The full soundtrack.
It's pretty interesting. Now, you play their Pixel remaster. Obviously, there's orchestrated versions, and they're more modernized or whatever. But I think it's really cool just to see how they were able to simulate an opera singer's voice through like bleeps and bloops. Like it's just it's really, really fucking cool. So that's image 6. It's just a screenshot from Maria and Draco. So anyway, they do that, and they trick the airship owner, Setzer, into believing that he has kidnapped Celis, and the 3 of them jack his ship along with Setzer.
Awesome.
So, they head to a Magitech facility, and they learn of Kefka's plan to awaken the Warring Triad. They attempt to save some Espers, but they die. But the Espers die and turn to Magicite instead. Spoiler, they all die and turn to Magicite. Now they're all back together. The gang's all together, and they have an airship, and they have a Sid. Terra recovers her memories after encountering a Magicite that was once her father, Maduin.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked. She remembers that she is half human, half Esper, born from a human woman who has somehow entered the Esper realm and fell in love with Maduin. Neat. So, now with new resolve, the party sets out to take down the Empire. They chase Kefka and Emperor Gestal to the floating continent, where Kefka attempts to awaken the Warring Triad. Gestal through this whole thing is like kind of like a puppet. Like Kefka's clearly in charge, and Gestal is like, actually, wait, I just want to own the world. I don't want to destroy the world. Like, Kefka, we probably shouldn't do this. And Kefka goes, burp, 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 and pushes him off the floating continent. See you later. So what Kefka does is he moves the statues out of alignment, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually triggers a devastating pulse of magical energy. Within minutes, the airship is destroyed, the continent is shattered, and the entire landscape of the world is dramatically altered in an apocalyptic event. This is a atom bomb that has just gone off.
Dang.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 year later, Celis awakens on a deserted island with Sid. Sid catches her up, and they're just living in this shack. Sid has been taking care of her. He says basically the magical energy tore across the land like a nuclear bomb. It basically killed and or mutated whatever land was left, whatever vegetation was left. Thousands died, and with the death of the Empire folded. Now the only rule of law is Kefka, and Kefka has absorbed the magical energy of the Triad and has become a god king. And
beans.
all day and night, Kefka sits in his massive tower, just blasting people with magical lasers all day.
This is gonna be
sounds rad.
I assume I know the answer to this. Is Kefka a Magic the Gathering card?
Kefka is like 7 Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Sure he
of
is.
course, yeah.
Great.
So this is the other thing everybody remembers about FF6 is the bad guy won, right? Like
sure.
the latter half of FF6 is you're basically playing through a Mad Max version of this world that you've come to know and love. And you're trying to save the whatever remnants of the apocalypse, or to save the world from the remnants of the apocalypse. And that's exactly what you do. So we see Celis, who's standing at the literal end of the world. She says, well, it's time to get the band back together. And we're going to fight back against Kefka and try to reclaim whatever we have left. So we travel through the new world of destruction. Everything is like brown and gray and, and destroyed. And this is a really cool thing. So they actually have you start with only Celis in your party, and we have to go and find each former party member one by one. And we got to convince them to join up because it's been a year and everyone else has like moved on.
Has lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like that. It's kind of like Endgame when they find Tony Stark and he's like, I got a kid now. Like I'm done. Like Thanos won, right? Like that's what we're doing here. And that, so we see like a couple highlights here. Like Edgar is leading a band of thieves. Tara's running an orphanage. Locke is like on a personal journey to try and revive his dead fiance. Like shit's bleak, man. And in spite of it all, Celis and the rest of the party go on personal quest after personal quest to recoup and prepare for the final battle. Of course, we collect some ultimate weapons and endgame magic along the way and finally set off for Kefka's tower to take on the God King himself. And in a climactic battle, we fight the angelic nightmare version of Kefka to a multiple movement epic theme orchestrated in that beautiful sound chip shown in image 7. Now, this is actually from the mobile remakes, which are you can
they're
see
chibi looking.
Yeah, they're a little more
characters.
chibi. Yeah, the sprites are smoothed out, which they look a little bit uncanny. But focus on Kefka.
Yeah.
God, how couldn't I?
How couldn't you? We finally defeat Kefka, and the party returns to help the world slowly rebuild. Roll credits.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So let's shift gears a bit. We're going to talk about some magic cards. So I split this up. So I'm going to just feature magic cards from the games we just talked about. There are many more magic cards, especially because FF6 has a commander deck, and they just, as this recording 3 hours ago, released the deck list.
Put them all out. Yeah.
They're all out there. So there's a lot more than we're going to talk about. So the first one, going back to our image library, starting with image, we're going to go from images 8 to 20. So the first two are Garland and Chaos. They're flipped, actually. So starting with image 9 in the recording, I'll fix it when we release this. So we've got Garland, Knight of Cornelia. He flips. So once he dies, you can pay 3 and 2 black, 2 red to return him transformed as Chaos the Endless. And when it dies, it gets put on the bottom of your library to signify that 2,000
the time
year
loop
time
has
jump.
started again.
That's fun.
That's kind of fun. Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
Love it.
The Wizards released or talked about one of the major mechanics, which are job select artifacts. So they have a bunch of these like classic weapons representing different jobs from Final Fantasy. This one here is Black Mage's Rod. And it's got job select. Once you equip it, they get a certain ability that says when you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and is a wizard. Showing that now they're a black mage.
Now they're Black Mage.
Every Is It Burn deck just got a little antsy right there.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, I guess no. That's
It's
that's
in
swamp.
black.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that. Ooh, interesting.
It's Grixis, yeah.
Yeah.
Next is Traveling Chocobo. So Chocobo is obviously a huge staple in Final Fantasy. They've got multiple colors of Chocobo. One thing is they announced that there's only going to be one serialized card. So get fucked, scalpers.
Yeah.
Although the serialized card is a pretty cool chase card. It is the Golden Chocobo, which is
Yeah.
actually from FF7, which is pretty fucking dope. But and it's only got 77 serialized for Final Fantasy 7.
Nice.
But there are also other Chocobos that are just in the set. There's the normal yellow one. There's a blue one, a red one, and a black one, and I think a green one as well. And while that isn't a thing in the early Final Fantasy games, in later games we see that different colors have different abilities, but like kind of like Yoshi. But for now, Chocobo. Also, Chocobo is now Bird Typal is back on the menu, baby.
Bird Typal is here, yeah.
Bird Typal and Landfall. Jesus.
It's not on here, but Bartz and Boko is another one, and Bartz and Boko is a Bird Typal commander.
Yes.
So get your bird decks.
No jokes about him being mistranslated to butts on the card.
Yeah. No jokes about that.
Unfortunate.
One of
Affinity
my
for
favorite,
birds.
Yeah, affinity for birds, baby. Yeah. Next, we've got Cecil Dark Knight. This is one of my favorites. So this is another flip card. Cecil Dark Knight has Death Touch and Darkness to represent. So the Dark Knight ability is you spend HP to deal damage. So you do that. When Cecil deals damage, you lose that much life. And then once your life total is less than half or equal to half of Final Fantasy IV, right, halfway through, you transform Cecil to Redeemed Paladin, who has Lifelink and Protect. So whenever Cecil attacks, other attacking creatures gain Indestructible, which is a classic tank ability in FF in Final Fantasy. You take the hit for somebody else, which is, again, really fucking cool.
That's rad.
That's sick, yeah.
Next, we have Kane, Traitorous Dragoon. This is where I said he's got jump during your turn.
Yeah.
Kane is flying.
That's fun.
Good.
This is another thing, so I'll read the card. When Kane deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of Kane. If they do, you draw that many cards, create that many tapped treasure tokens, and lose that much life. Meaning you lose Kane, and you get all of his equipment that was equipped to him back in your inventory.
Oh,
That's fun.
That's pretty
Isn't that
good.
cool?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, next we've got Gilgamesh, Master at Arms, for 4 and 2 red. Gilgamesh is a legendary human samurai. His whole thing is that he collects swords. Like he is the one and only Nexus being. Every Gilgamesh you see in different Final Fantasy is the same
It's
Gilgamesh.
the same one, and he's a Maul ninja samurai.
Exactly. So he searches your deck for equipment cards. Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Hold on, let me load the next 43 images so we can keep talking about these.
The next one I think is probably one of my favorites, and this is Terra Magical Adept. So she is 1 in Gruul, so that's red and green. But the art featured here is actually an original by Amano. So in the preview event, they had Amano talk about this, and this is an original drawing he made for the Magic set of Terra. He said, "I've never been able to kind of show Terra this way," and he said he was really excited to do so. So the card says, when Terra enters, mill 5 cards, put up to 1 enchantment card milled this way into your hand. Enchantments in this set are also summons. So this, summons are the way that all these like magical people do stuff. But the cool thing is Terra has trance. So for 4 and Gruul, you can tap and exile her and transform her. And then she gets transformed as Esper Terra. So this is Terra's ability in FF6 is she uses her limit, basically like her main ability is to trance. She turns into her Esper form and she gets magical rage. So like she gets Berserk is a condition that basically like you do double damage, but you don't get to control your abilities. Terra gets magical Berserk, where she just slings spells left and right, and they deal a lot more damage, but you don't have control what she's doing. So that's what she's doing is she's creating tokens that are copies of target non-legendary enchantments, either summons or magic, that you control. It gets haste. But the coolest thing is, so again, she's red and green, and once her saga resolves, she adds 2 white, 2 blue, 2 green, 2 black, 2 red. Hey, Kyle, what is the combination of white, blue, and black?
White, blue, and black is Esper.
She adds Esper.
She adds Esper. And then some more.
Because she's an Esper.
That's fun.
It's fun.
Wordplay is fun.
Wordplay's great.
Fun. Yeah.
I love the designs of just all the summons in general being like there's sagas and really creatures. Cool. Mm-hmm. So like they get a nice little stat boost because you're going to lose them in 3 or 4 turns, and it's really fun.
Let's go Terra, Herald of Hope. So this is the Terra from the Commander deck. This is the main commander from the FF6 commander deck. Again, there are a lot more commander FF6 cards in the commander decks that we're not going to talk about. So the reason I want to talk about this one is Terra's commander ability is to mill 2 cards, and then when you deal combat damage, you return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. The other commander, Celis, has a similar ability that she's not on here, but they both represent the finding your comrades at the end of the world, at the end of FF6. So Celis's abilities bring all of, like, I think it's like bring a bunch of creature cards back from their graveyard. Most of the creatures in the FF6 deck are the different party members. So Terra and Celis are actively trying to find their party members, which is cool.
Very cool.
And then we've got Kefka Court Mage. This is from the set, not from the commander deck. Whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card types discarded this way. But for 8 generic mana, you transform. Each opponent sacrifices a permanent, i.e., like the end of the world happens, and then you transform Kefka. And then you see Kefka, Ruler of Ruin. Whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards.
Ooh.
Holy fucking shit. Yeah. So that's those are the cards for the classic era. Okay. So here we're gonna break for now. So we're gonna end the episode at the classic era. We've covered a lot about Final Fantasy. We've hit a lot of the core themes, and we hit FF6, which is one of the most important games, I think, of the franchise. We have Final Fantasy VII is a lot, and it probably doesn't make sense to end with it. So we're gonna stop here. We're gonna come back for part 2 next week. Part 2 will start with Final Fantasy, and we'll get through hopefully the rest, and we'll end up with our buddy Clive Rossfield at the end of Final Fantasy 16. But before we sign off, I want to also say that the weekend of June 20th, we will be at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo in Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to be doing a live show. We don't yet know what our time is. So if you're in the Atlanta area, or if you're planning to go to that con, we'll be there. We'd love to see you there. Come say hi. We will not be doing a table. We'll just be kind of tooling around. And I'm sure we'll upload the episode to that. Other than that, if you want to commission an episode that is not about Final Fantasy, you can do so once again at patreon.com/debatethiscast. Until next time, I'm Andrew Henderson.
I'm Todd Esper, hardly know her. Thomas.
I'm Matt, a discount store for rideable animals. Call that Mount Ordeals. Cole.
And I'm Kyle. Kryl is what I call myself Sunday night when I remember I have to work in the morning. Harper.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.